casual fat phobia that was super present in the early 2000s.
It was really just a matter of time before the body ideals of the 90s made a comeback.
But are we more self-aware to not fall victim to the same body insecurities that we had in the 90s?
Back in the 1600s, people wanted to be very curvy. In the 1800s, women wanted to have a skinny waist.
Then rewind to the Italian Renaissance, where having a full figure was a sign of being well-fed and being wealthy.
In the 1920s, there was more like tomboy figure.
But in the roaring 20s, you had to look like a little boy. No boobs and no hips.
In the 1950s, the hourglass figure.
In the 50s, we were introduced to the hourglass figure. Soft and voluptuous with a Coke bottle body was it.
In the 60s, everyone wanted to be more skinny, and in the 80s, athletic, in the 90s, skinny, as well as in the 2000s, skinny as well.
In the 90s, emaciated was in. They called it heroin chic. In the 2000s, who can forget the Victoria's Secret angel? What started as a male fantasy ended up becoming the beauty standard.
In the 2010s and 2020s, it was more like a fit era and, of course, the BBL era.
In the 2020s, Instagram booty models were invented and everybody followed. But just a decade before, thigh gaps were super in. I mean, why would you want your thighs to touch?
And now, Kim Kardashian allegedly removed her BBL, and we're welcoming back the 90s skinny era.
Fashion making a worrying return to size zero.
Question: do you think that we are finally coming to the end of the BBL trend? It's quite obvious that many people are reversing the effects of having a BBL. But are we more self-aware to not fall victim to the same body insecurities that we had in the 90s, early 2000s, and 2010s?
For a while, we were stuck in the BBL era. The Brazilian butt lift is a type of surgery where they take your body fat and stuff it in your butt. Highly risky, yet Kim Kardashian made it so popular. Also super dangerous. Women died during this procedure. And now that it's been reported that Kim Kardashian removed her BBL, it seems like we're going back to the 90s type of skinny. Everyone is suddenly into pilates and ditching weightlifting.
Fashion's return to size zero. Kardashians are losing weight, reversing their BBLs, and rumored to have undergone stomach surgeries to lose weight fast. And it all connects to the fashion industry. Both Khloe Kardashian and Kim Kardashian have been spotted in significantly less curvy bodies. We also have Bella Hadid's extremely thin body being praised online, and this dramatic weight loss from major figures in the pop culture is part of a bigger concern: fashion making a worrying return to size zero. Personally, I don't think skinny was ever out of style. For centuries, fashion and the media have been dictating the female body ideals and trying to control our bodies. But in 2019, we witnessed the beginning of the BBL era, also popularized by the Kardashians. Exaggerated hourglass silhouettes that increased the number of Brazilian butt lift surgeries by 77%. But the end of the BBL era might also cause anxiety, because for those with curvier bodies, the BBL came as a relief and even an antidote to those extremely wide, thin bodies that were being championed in the 2000s. It was really just a matter of time before the body ideals of the 90s made a comeback.
Fitness was especially popular in the 80s. Everyone was at the gym or doing aerobic. This was a whole movement, and in the 90s the focus was more on being skinny, with all the first generation top models like Kate Moss, Claudia Schiffer, Naomi Campbell. This is basically what starts again now with Kaya Gerber, Lily Rose Depp. Even though she did have a very skinny body and then achieved a healthier figure, or Kim Kardashian with her dating Pete Davidson and not Kanye West, though they already split. Here we see the racial impact as well.
Her proximity to whiteness in this state makes her palatable to investors. That is why she's moving away from black imagery.
Darkest Hue hones in on the theory that Kim is trying to transition into a respectable white woman for the next chapter of her career. The discourse is kind of going that Kim Kardashian is white again, and that again is interesting to me because she's never quite looked like this before, has she? Certainly not during her early era of media comparisons to Disney villain Jafar. And what I think we're really seeing happen is that Kim Kardashian is yet again leveraging her racial mutability. that the Kardashians' success is attributable to Black appropriation.
I've been seeing a lot of YouTubers and YouTube videos talking about how the BBL era is over. And I just find it just so disgusting that people can try on the Black woman aesthetic, the Black femme aesthetic. And when it no longer suits them after they've made their money, they've gotten their clout and their notoriety, they can take it off.
PSA, being white and skinny is in again, and I'm gonna tell you why. So Kim Kardashian is slowly trying to distance herself from the aesthetics of Blackness that she used to build her fame. Let's look at the receipts. So this is the Kim Kardashian that we're used to seeing. And here's a photo of Kim and Khloe from Khloe's birthday, living their rich white girl fantasies. And at the launch party for her new skincare line, her skin is lighter than it's been in years.
Kim Kardashian is a Middle Eastern woman. This is not cultural appropriation. For everyone slamming Kim for wearing this hairstyle, remember that she is an Armenian woman. Braids are an important part of Armenian culture. This is an example of traditional Armenian braids. As you can see, there's multiple braids with extensions. Here's some very old pictures of Armenians wearing braids. However, stuff like this, and this is cultural appropriation because these are exclusively Black hairstyles.
And she's trying to get into these white spaces, these high fashion spaces without Kanye. Tapping in and out of Black aesthetics at their convenience is a privilege only unique to non-Black people. Ariana Grande has gone from this to this. Miley's gone from this to this 90s grunge, heroin chic, daughter of the Red Hot Chili Peppers vibe. And Kim even dated a tall, skinny white guy.
And Khloe, as many pointed out, is now basically the skinniest Kardashian. I mean, people bullied her so much in the past, which was absolutely not okay. And then she had this show, Revenge Body, where she would help people get in shape. Also, Khloe now is 38, she looks great, and that shows how young 38 or even 40 really is. Kendall was always skinny, and the only one that seems to have kept her BBL type of body is Kylie.
When I said BBL era is over and Kim removed hers.
Here's 3 possible underpinnings of the BBL reductions. Actually, it's kind of too soon to really say for sure, but here's some theories. Kim will always set the tone for the rest of the family. Her divorce from Kanye is going to incite some kind of shift from the way the family aligns with Black culture.
Around 2013, 2014, we kind of saw this shift that fitness became super popular, especially on Instagram with people like Pamela Reif and her YouTube workouts. Everyone wanted to have more muscles. She's one of the few fitness influencers that still look very feminine and super skinny, yet she has a lot of muscles and many people follow her, maybe because she was also not bulking up, because many of her comments are always how to get a big butt without having big legs, etc. And people wanted to have this six-pack. Of course, many envied the shape of her body and her butt specifically, because it was the era for, BBLs, big butts. However, I would argue that, Pamela is so much closer to the 90s skinny than the BBL body. Workouts are still popular just as a healthy overall lifestyle and diet. There are so many pieces of content still around the topic of diets. For example, the egg diet. There are videos on YouTube that blew up, went viral. We also had this That Girl lifestyle, focusing on health and wellness and fitness and education or career. Basically hustling while always taking care of your body and mind. But we do see a shift focusing on muscles versus focusing on the shape. Because if the 90s skinny trend comes back, then being bulky and muscular doesn't really fit, neither do curves. But again, it's so strange that body shapes can be trends. Why would people have surgery to fit in with the BBL trend, then remove all this transferred fat and lose weight because that is a new trend? It just doesn't make sense in my opinion.
So there's a theory currently on the internet, or at least among these conversations about body trends, that body trends are based on perceived wealth and status, right? The idea that body trends are based on like a thought process of wealth. And I think it's a very antiquated way of looking at it. But like you go, oh, well, people were curvier back in the day because it showed that you could eat. People were slimmer in the 90s because it showed you had discipline or self-control. And that's like a status thing. Or you're fit in the, 2010s or whatever because you can afford a personal trainer. And the theories, you're curvy right now because you can afford plastic surgery. That, that kind of theory.
There was also a lot of outrage when Kim was wearing Marilyn Monroe's dress. And we all remember Marilyn Monroe is always praised by people for being this curvy ideal back in time. Yet curvy Kim does not fit into Marilyn's dress. There's this photo of Marilyn in a white bikini, and because of the angle, maybe people thought she's bigger than she was. She did have curves, but on a very skinny body. During this fitness era, we also had the body positivity movement, or that was when it started, and creators on Instagram were showing their flaws and how real bodies look like, so that we stop confusing flattering photos on Instagram with reality. It could be seen as a counter movement to also all these women's magazines telling women to lose weight fast, diet, get rid of cellulite when this is super normal, and when they report on which celebrity has the worst beach body, etc., which is really disrespectful. It's always a pattern. During the fitness era, people who didn't have obvious muscles or worked out were shamed. During the BBL era, people with no curves or small butts were shamed. And during the rise of the body positivity movement, there were these comparisons in the beginning and super weird jokes like only dogs like bones, real women have curves. But as I said, female bodies and shapes really shouldn't be a trend. They still are, obviously. And they continue to be trends because of Instagram, because of TikTok, because of magazines and movies. It's actually really strange how these trends around body forms emerge. Whenever there was war or famine, obviously people wanted to be less skinny, and if you're bigger, you're considered rich in certain areas when people are poor because you have access to food. Then when everyone started working in offices, never moving all day, there were gyms and workouts became this kind of lifestyle, and there was more than enough food, so people ate too much, and then there was this counter movement of now you have to try to be skinny. Well, there's like food everywhere, fast food, chocolate, I don't know, whatever, processed food. Many people were overeating, many became more overweight. It is comparable to skin colors. Back in time in Europe, everyone wanted to be pale. In the West, because those who were tanned were poor workers that hustled outside all day, and then people wanted to be tanned because now everyone is inside in offices, and people who are tanned are on vacation a lot, and that kind of shows a lifestyle and that you're better than everyone and maybe have a position where you can have a vacation more often. So it's often about what you don't have that you want, or also what is harder to achieve. For example, a BBL, a big butt, might be hard to achieve for some people, and that is why it became a trend. So many things are basically due to our changes in habits and lifestyles. For centuries, gyms weren't really needed because people were moving more and not sitting in offices. And with the start of the fitness era, we also saw how many protein shakes were sold, they boomed, and everyone wanted to sell us protein shakes. What I found interesting during this movement is that women can actually work out during pregnancy. I've seen that many times, because it's always said that women shouldn't carry anything heavy.
For some reason, Pilates is in at the moment, and I'm all here for it because I'm not a fan of lifting weights. Celebrities like Kim K, Jennifer Aniston, Kate Hudson, they swear by it, apparently.
So as mentioned, that the 90s type of skinny is back also shifted our focus from weightlifting to Pilates. Many think Pilates is for old people and it's not demanding at all, which is the same for yoga. I mean, yoga is really demanding. You have to have a lot of muscles. Many people think it's just this cute little exercise meditating thing, which is not true. Pilates activates many muscles, and there are different exercises. Some are less exhausting, some are more focused on core strength and can also improve your posture, so there are many benefits. And during the fitness era, many also revealed that the machines at the gym, like the hip abduction machine, don't train the muscles they're supposed to, and you actually should avoid those. And when working out more intensely, you also realize that many machines can be replaced by normal exercises with weights at home.
Am I the only one that is getting very stressed out seeing everyone commenting how much better all the Kardashians are looking without their BBLs, commenting the girls should not weight lift, they should do Pilates, doing like walks and emphasizing every single body type that is not extremely skinny? If you're a 90s or 80s baby, or you're teenagers in the 2000s, are you smelling the pro-Anna groups?
The emergence of trends is often interrelated. We've seen the 90s and 2000s trend in fashion or hairstyles, and now fitness bloggers like Pamela have dance workouts that reminds you maybe of these 80s, 90s dance aerobic aesthetics. Then many are into this fluffy hairstyle like the one Matilda Djerf has, or the one we see on TV characters back in time like Rachel Green and Friends.
Y'all remember the casual fat phobia that was super present in the early 2000s? A lot of us grew up on this.
There are these weird nutrition bars my mom uses to lose weight.
You couldn't escape. We see slow progressions with the likes of certain brands refusing to work with influencers that facetune their photos, or entire countries passing laws punishable by fines in an effort to dismantle toxic beauty ideals.
There are so many parallels and a connection to this general interest in the 90s and 2000s. And this might be why the 90s skinny is replacing the 2010s BBL and weightlifting era. The danger of these trends is mainly that people will do anything to look like that instead of following their personal preference and what looks and feels best on them personally. And when a new trend emerges, you can't really go back. Same with eyebrows. Once you remove your eyebrows, they might be gone. You can't really regrow them. Or you have permanent makeup or any tattoo that was trending and now it's not trendy anymore. I actually thought that the trend that was most promising was the fitness trend, like just being fit. I mean, in its core, it does promote just a healthy lifestyle and taking care of your body, feeling good. And muscles are not only nice to look at, they make you fitter, stronger, you burn more calories, etc. You just feel better. But it's insane how much emphasis we put on body shapes now. Many people are insecure, even like teenagers, which is super dangerous that so many teenage girls are so impacted by social media, for example. And the platforms are aware of that. Those who are too skinny want curved, and those who are too curvy want to be skinny. So it's actually ridiculous. Maybe body shapes should not be trending. They're not meant to be trends. Yeah, let me know what you think about all of this, and subscribe if you don't want to miss out on other videos in the series, and have a nice day.